computer. Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
I have 6:32. Should we wait a couple more minutes to see if anybody else shows up?
I think that's fine, Bob.
How are you doing, Mary?
Oh, I just got done with a client. I expected to have a few more minutes to go between one and the other, but I'm
Didn't-
good.
Hey, Mary and Chris.
Hi, John. I'm glad to see Steve here. Thank you for
Good to see
being
you.
here, Steve.
And who's 736-518?
That's prisoner 736-518.
Prisoner
Coming in from
736-518. Okay. Do you have a
Eddie-
camera or not?
I don't know why my picture won't show up.
Floyd needed some technical advice, but I don't think you can get it from his wife.
No.
Lower left, try. There should be an icon that says start video.
Usually at the bottom left, there's something.
Get it.
There you go. Hi,
Yeah.
Eddie. So what prison is that from, Eddie?
Like I said, Huttonsville.
Close enough, huh?
Yep.
Joe Gold's coming. Mary, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Talking to us, you're muted.
Sorry. I was going to say, you'll have to tell those of us who are not West Virginians the joke, because I didn't get it,
Which joke?
about the prison conversation.
Huttonsville.
Oh, it just has to do with the fact that Eddie's a 6-digit number and not a person, apparently. Not a
Okay.
name, anyway. He's going by some 6-digit number. That's where the joke comes from.
Okay, thanks.
Eddie was claiming Huttonsville.
I'm an
Just up your way.
algorithm. Not really a person, I'm an algorithm.
He's a bot.
Okay.
Okay. Joe, are you there? I think Pam is there, but she has her
I'm here,
camera on.
I'm here.
Okay,
Yep, I'm here, Bob. Thank you.
all right. Well, we're up to 10 of us and 2 of them, so that's probably ought to be good enough odds. Let me go ahead and call this to order. I sent out an agenda to everybody except John and Steve, because I don't know why. I wasn't thinking clearly, probably. And I would propose that we adopt that agenda. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll move.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none. I'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
All opposed, say no. The ayes have it. We've been doing introductions every time. By now, most of us know each other, but I don't really know Patricia. I don't know that you've been on before. You're muted, Patricia. But Patricia, you're muted. We couldn't hear what you said. You need
Lower
to,
left.
there we go.
Hi, there I am. I live in Morgantown, and I've been invited before, but because I signed on to something that I wanted to be, and but this is the first time I've appeared.
Okay.
I work at the museum in Morgantown.
Good. I'm Bob Baker. I'm a retired legal services attorney here in Beckley. I say here in Beckley because I guess I'm hosting it, but I don't know if it's really situated anywhere, but in Beckley, let's say that. And I'm one of the 2 co-chairs of the senior caucus. The other co-chair is Mary. Go ahead.
Hi, Patricia. My name is Mary Thorpe. I live in Upshur County. I'm a designer. I work at collaborating with people, designing conversations that shape the future of humanity. And can everybody else just go around and say your name and where you're from? And I would particularly ask Pam Garrison if you would, as you're introducing yourself, share with us some of the things that you've been up to. Take 5 minutes or so and just tell us some of your wins, Pam. When we come, why don't you be the last person, okay?
Okay.
I'll call out names as they're on my screen, even though they'll probably change around. I can't figure out why not. Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, yeah, Andrew Caldwell from Fayetteville, and I'm also taking minutes in this meeting.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'll save our speakers for later. Ann?
I'm Ann Chopiak from Upshur County.
Floyd?
I'm Floyd Sarah from Mason County, retired lab operator for Royal Dutch Shell, former union official. I live in Mason County and Point Pleasant.
Chris?
Which union? Which union?
Steelworkers, United Steelworkers.
Oh,
I'm
Chris.
Chris Loken, and I'm in Berkeley County, up in Falling Waters, Berkeley County. That's it, I guess.
Eddie?
I'm Eddie Ingalls. I worked for DHHR for 40 years. I'm now retired AFSCME. I'm also the recording secretary for the South Central AFL-CIO Labor Council.
Joe?
I'm Joe Golden. I live in Raleigh County.
Paula?
I'm Paula Rumberg, and I live in Mercer County, and I am constituency captain of West Virginia Can't Wait's division for Seniors Can't Wait.
And let me go to Pam before the speakers.
Hello, everybody. I'm Pam Garrison from Fayette County. I'm an activist. I'm involved with the Poor People's Campaign. I've been involved with them for a couple of years. I'm secretary of a small group, black group here in Fayette County, Fayette Fair Share. I appreciate y'all letting me speak for a few minutes and just give an update of some of the issues and things that I have been privileged to be able to be the voice of West Virginia and get West Virginia's voice out there. I was in a meeting with Jamie Harris at the beginning after the election when all of them the ones who got elected went in there to speak to Jamie about the poverty in West Virginia and the outdated data that they are going by to figure up the cost of living, what people are going through and living through, the outdated data that they're using that the Democratic Party needs to use better updated data. I have had a meeting with Sherrod Brown and Senator Manchin, both trying to get over the minimum wage and the effects of it. It's been 13 years since we've had a minimum wage raise. The poverty is excessive here in West Virginia. I've been in meetings with Representative Barbara Lee and Representative Jana Paul that introduced our third reconstruction on the House floor. It is a roadmap with real solutions and things to uplifting from the bottom, or the poverty, the health care, so many issues that we face in not just in West Virginia, in the country. I've spoke with Chuck Schumer over the HR 1 and our democracy and what we've seen happen in there. I'm scared to death because that's not resolved yet. And we're looking at another election coming up in 22. I am supposed to have another meeting with Representative Jana Paul in the upcoming week over the reconstruction and the Build Back Better bill. I might be being able before long to have a meeting with President Biden on that too. I've been all year long involved with the Black Vote Matters bus and the people that are pushing, that is really helping with getting the grassroots. I've been involved pushing a lot of local issues that affects all of us in West Virginia. I've gotten up and at hearings and testified when we were fighting the last legislation about them reducing the inspectors for the mines and the wells and leaking in our rivers and streams. I owned a house at Minden, which Minden don't exist no more because of PCBs. The Southern Appalachian Labor School, I've spoke. They build low-income housing for the poor. Here in Fayette County, they've lost their support from our from our county councils and things. And I've been outspoken. We had a protest at Fayetteville over their decisions not to support three letters of support. 3 low-income poor people could have had houses, but our council stopped that. And that's some of the battles that we're fighting. It's not just national battles, it's local battles we're fighting too here in West Virginia. The voting restrictions during the last session, them trying to take our right to even be able to protest or even assemble, that's unconstitutional, it's undemocratic. We have been talking about, and I've had a great deal of national and local press coverage that has really helped West Virginia get a voice out there. All they hear is the representative's voice. They need to hear our voices, the people's voices. And that's how I have approached it. I'm not speaking for myself. It's not for me. It's about what's right, what's moral. And the propaganda that we have been faced in Virginia is, people wouldn't believe the propaganda that we face and that that we're trying to undo. But I think we're missing an opportunity, everyone. I have been working with just about every grassroots organization there is in West Virginia. I've spoke at Common Defense. I've been side by side with the low wage, with the vets, trying to get their fair share, their voice out there. With the service workers, I've been pushing out with the steel workers on strike, the Kellogg strikers, speaking up, doing what we can. And I think that is our opportunity, guys. They are our grassroots. They are our boots on the ground. They are carrying the messages of the things that we're putting in writing that we want done. They're our grassroots, our boots on the ground. They're out there pushing these agendas, the Democratic agendas. And we have to be just as supportive of them. We have to support our grassroots. We have to help them. We have to be visible. We are not going to get our messages and our words out if we're invisible, if we're hiding in the corners. We have to help be there. We've got to start setting up those tables at their events. We've got to help them. We've got to speak at their events. We've got to help our representatives get up to speak and be seen, to dispute the propaganda that is being washed on these people. And with it, we are getting sicker, we're getting poorer. And these are the battles we're fighting. My ask to the group and to everyone is to support your grassroots on the ground. When they're having an event, start helping them push that out. Start inviting people. You go. That's what it's going to take, is us in numbers. Our voice has to be louder than the propaganda voice. And we have got battles. We're looking at 2022. Next week, we had several clergy, Reverend Watts, several Brandon, the top clergy in West Virginia has reached out to the Poor People's Campaign. We are going to hold a massive tent revival next week in Charleston. We will have Reverend Barber, we will have Reverend Watts, we will have speakers from all over coming to speak. I would like to ask the group to be supportive, to try to really push out we'll be pushing our flyer out this evening and stuff to get the word out, to try to get people to join virtually, in person. And I'm telling you, when we are planning, we just had our Congress with the Poor People's Campaign, and they named it Waking the Sleeping Giant after my speech when we had our mass moral march on Mansion this summer, and we had almost 500 people at that march, marching on Mansion.
Pam,
And, yeah.
Pam, I have a request that you send some of that information to Bob so that we can send it out with the information after this meeting.
Okay.
And I salute you for all that you're doing and what you bring. And I would ask also that we look to see how can we let people know about this senior caucus so that people can be signing up. We might even have papers where people literally can sign their name and email stuff so that they know what we're doing and they can come together with us so we can know how, like that. So congratulations and thank you a million for what you're doing and all the voices that you represent, Pam.
I thank you, Mary. And I just want to bring one more thing to the group. The Fayette Fair Share has put together packets. We put together packets. We know that in the next session coming up, Justice is going to try to do away with the personal income tax again. The Fayette Fair Share has already put packets together. Anybody for your counties we're wanting to get it to all parts of West Virginia, just email me or just let me know your address and stuff, and we can get it sent out to you. It's already flyers, signs, handbills, everything ready. So anybody that's interested in that for their counties, just let me know.
So if you send that to us, we'll make sure that gets in the email. And the thing I'm hearing about what you're saying, Pam, is that we don't need to do anything new. What there is to do is to come together, use the different venues that we already have created. And this senior caucus can be like the hub for a lot of stuff that's going on here in West Virginia. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Bob, for us to go ahead. Thanks, you
Pam.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Maybe just before we get our speakers to introduce themselves or introduce our speakers, whichever it may turn out to be, we have on the agenda before them approval of minutes of the 9/20/21 meeting. And I would ask for a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Is there any discussion or any questions? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 And all opposed, say no. The ayes have it again. I don't know if John moved away from the screen or not, or if
I'm back. I just got a bottle of water.
he was holding his nose. Maybe he was anxious not to. But no. We have two speakers tonight, one of who was here last month, I should say, not last week, John Bowser Bauman. And I'll let him introduce himself again to everybody, and then also to introduce his friend, Steve Regenstreit, whose name I think I spelled wrong in the agenda, but I'll try to get it right in the future.
Well, thanks, Bob. And yeah, I'll introduce myself briefly, and then I'm going to turn it over to Steve, and then I'm going to come back. So I am John Bauman. I'm president of Social Security Works PAC. We endorse candidates, but Social Security Works, the organization that is a policy organization first and foremost, is peopled with all of us who are experts on senior issues, which we're going to talk about a little bit today. It's a very important moment in senior issues in America, and particularly in West Virginia. Now, in addition to my role at Social Security Works as senior advisor and president of the Political Action Committee, I've also become a vice chair of the DNC Seniors Council, which is based in Washington, D.C., but we're scattered around all over the country. I'm actually in California talking to you right now. The chair of that Seniors Council is Steve Regenstrife. And Steve has spent 30 years as director of retirees for AFSCME. And I heard earlier that we have at least one representative of AFSCME on here among you. So Steve has extensive experience in the senior communities all over America. Steve and I have taken on the task of building seniors councils in a lot of states, beginning in 2020, where we kind of took on Arizona, Florida, began Wisconsin, Pennsylvania is going on, a lot of Georgia exists and we're trying to build it up. North Carolina exists and we're trying to build it up. We have discovered now that West Virginia exists and we're going to help you build it up. We're going to help build this senior caucus into a real force in the state of West Virginia. So it's my pleasure right now to introduce my friend and partner and one of the most devoted, dedicated people that I know, Steve Regenstrife, chair of the DNC Seniors Council.
Thank you, John. And I appreciate being invited to your meeting tonight. As John said, I was director of the retirees at AFSCME, the American Federation of State County Municipal Employees, and there's one AFSCME person on the call, so I want to thank him for his support. And we have a few different components that we like to raise, I think, but we have obviously the pressing issue of what's going on now in Congress. So I think we want to kind of focus primarily on that. And then maybe at a future session, we can talk about and go into some detail about, organizing and building the Seniors Council in West Virginia, give some background of what, we do in other states, and talk about, what political work that we've done in the past and we're planning for the future. So I have done work in West Virginia before when I was working with AFSCME. We do have a retiree group in West Virginia, and there's a guy named Ernest Spud Terry, who I think some of you may know.
I know him.
Who's been really active for a number of years. And so over the years, I've been in West Virginia, been in Charleston. I lobbied the legislature with Spud and some of our issues. Oh, I want to add, because we have a steelworker retiree, that Jim Sentner, who was for many years director of the SOAR retirees, is on the executive board of the Seniors Council. And we have a number of other, retired union people, and as he mentioned, John is on our board too. But we'll save all that stuff for a future meeting. So I have worked West Virginia. I have worked the state capitol. I have walked the halls there, and so I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I'm not a novice either. I wanted to talk at least a little bit about what we accomplished during the Biden campaign and at the Democratic convention, because that kind of sets the framework of the environment we're in now. We had the best seniors platform ever in the Democratic Party, platform at the convention. And Joe Biden's plan for older Americans was also the most robust we've ever had. And you know, they had a whole bunch of things that that are in both documents: increasing Social Security benefits for all beneficiaries, increasing the minimum Social Security benefit, increasing Social Security benefits for long duration beneficiaries, empower Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices, which is a big issue, which is now part of the reconciliation package, to cap out-of-pocket drug costs for seniors, which is also in the package, and find policies to expand Medicare to cover dental, vision, and hearing. That is a big issue. I've been working on that issue for 40 years. I think, you know, we have a good chance of getting that in the final reconciliation package. And obviously, this is a very big issue to raise with Senator Manchin. I also want to mention that we did do well in the American Rescue Plan that was passed earlier in the year. And without going through all the details of that, there are a couple of things that were in there that are really important to seniors and we shouldn't forget, and that this was already adopted and these were passed and it's now law, that there was $85 billion for troubled multi-employer pension plans, which had a lot of financial problems, and we were able to get that in there. So to deal with that, there was $1.4 billion in the Older Americans Act, including $12 billion, almost $13 billion for home care. There was housing assistance and assistance to state and local government. So where we are now, and I think what we want to kind of spend, at least John and I want to spend our time on, is where we are legislatively. Now, we have the infrastructure bill that passed the Senate to improve, you know, roads and bridges and public transit and all those kinds of things. It's sitting now in the House, and I think if we get a vote in the House, it'll pass. What we need now, though, is the reconciliation bill, and we only need a majority. So we have 50 Democrats. We need all 50, with then Vice President Harris breaking the tie. And there's a ton of stuff in there for seniors. Now, some of them have gotten a lot of visibility and some have not. There's $400 billion in the original plan by President Biden to expand home and community-based healthcare. There's money in there to expand and strengthen the healthcare workforce, but by providing good wages, benefits, and workplace rights. There's 18, and this next one, I think most people don't know. In the original proposal, there was $18 billion to modernize the VA hospitals and the VA clinics. They also want to double the federal investment in public transit and universal broadband coverage for every American. And there are 22 million seniors who lack internet access at home. So expanding broadband would help with seniors. And I would think that would have a particular, would be a particular issue in West Virginia. And then $213 billion to expand affordable housing and retrofit housing to make it accessible to those with mobility issues. And that's obviously another, you know, thing that doesn't get much attention, but is obviously important to seniors who would like to stay in their homes and be self-sufficient, but because of, you know, their physical limitations, the houses need to be retrofitted so to give them more access. Now, the one that does get the most publicity is on the drug issue and expanding Medicare to include, you know, hearing, vision, and hearing, vision, and
dental.
And those are all big issues for seniors. It's been a priority for, like, I've been working on this for decades. So it's a big one. I think it would be a big issue for seniors in West Virginia, because I am sure there are many seniors who do not have in retirement, unless maybe they work for the state or a big employer that provides some of these benefits, but a lot of them don't when people retire. Requiring Medicare to negotiate lower prices, limit price hikes in Medicare Part B and D. As I said, cap Part D out-of-pocket costs, and stop patent abuses by drug corporations. So there's a lot in this, and Senator Manchin is key on this. I mean, we did a letter to Senator Manchin, and I don't know if John shared this with you before. We did a letter to Senator Manchin on senior issues and why it was important for him to support the reconciliation package. The letter was drafted by the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, and a bunch of national groups signed on to the letter. It was a very respectful letter. We also had some West Virginia groups to sign on, and this was done before we had a relationship with you, but we did get some, the AFSCME retiree group signed on, the public school retirees group signed on, who were in the coalition, the Public Sector Retiree Coalition, the NEA retirees, who do have a group, West Virginia, their leadership signed on as well. And since we have a steel worker, the steel workers did sign on this, including the SOAR retirees and the steel workers itself. So we sent that to Senator Manchin, and we've done a few other things. Max Richmond from the National Committee did do an op-ed piece that was in the Morgantown newspaper. And one of our leaders, an activist, was also did a radio talk show. So we're trying to generate some more visibility. And obviously seniors, is a big, they're a big constituency in West Virginia. It's an important constituency. And so anything we can do to, and since seniors vote and seniors are registered, it's important to all elected officials. I did once meet, I had a meeting with then Governor Manchin with Spud Terry, when I'm retired now, but when I was still working. So I have a little bit of sense of him, but he still hasn't committed on this. He still hasn't committed on the details of how big. He doesn't want $3.5 trillion package. He wants something less than that. How much less is unclear. It's also unclear on what he would, whether he wants certain things dropped, or whether he wants, the amount out, budgeted for those things, or he wants them cut. So that is a little unclear at this point. But we obviously, we can't lose any votes. I mean, we got. If we had 52 or 53 Democrats, then we could be a little, in the Senate, we could be a little cavalier. But when you have 50, you need every single one. And kind of that's where, where we are. And I was misleading a little bit. The letter we sent to Senator Manchin was on the filibuster issue.
But it's really about voting rights.
It was about voting rights. It wasn't about the budget. There was a second, some letters sent on the budget issue, but it was on voting rights to support amending the Senate Bill 1 and allowing passage by a simple majority to do a carve out on the filibuster. And that was the focus of that letter, which all the senior group, which all the national groups signed on to. So that's the convention. So let me stop there and then turn it over to John.
Yes,
and obviously I'll answer questions.
Is the letter that you sent to Senator Manchin the same? Let me rephrase that. Paula Rumberg shared with me a letter from you and John and some other folks to Senator Sinema from Arizona. Did you send the same letter to Senator Manchin approximately?
The contents of the letter was the same as Senator Sinema, but the sign-ons were a little bit different.
Okay.
Because we have a very active seniors council in Arizona, so they got a bunch of local people to sign on. But I will send you the letter to Manchin, so you have that.
Okay, thanks. And thank you, Paula, again.
I'm going to go straight to the point here, which is that we're in the middle of a 5-alarm fire. This is happening as we speak. It was kind of happening when I spoke to you last, but this is really it. You, in a very real way, are the center of the universe now. You're kind of Delphi, you in Arizona, because it's become clear that this is not a fight between moderates and progressives in the United States Congress. It's a fight between moderates and progressives and virtually everybody over here, and a couple of other people over here. And the couple of other people in the Senate are in the person of Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Now, as a seniors caucus, I'm going to talk to you about the short-term task here. The short-term task, and as Steve indicated, we're with you for the long term. We're going to help you build for the long term and help make the Democratic Senior Caucus, and in fact, the Democratic Party in West Virginia, a viable force once again, with you people as the fulcrum of it. But in the short term, we really do have to deal with getting as much as we possibly can into Build Back Better, the reconciliation package, as much as we possibly can out of Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. So we've been talking to Arizonans about Kyrsten Sinema. A lot of people know her. Some people have her cell phone number. They talk to her on a regular basis. They know how to talk to her in a way that will get the kind of results that we need. We're hoping in West Virginia that there is a stream of people that are going to be able to do that with Senator Manchin as well. We know you've been doing it right along, if possible. We know that some people think it's just impossible, but it's really not the time for that. It's really the time when we all have to put in maximal effort to do whatever it is we can. Now, for people who know Manchin personally and are able to communicate with him, they're probably the most important people of all, because the goal here is to get as much as possible into this reconciliation package, Build Back Better, for the people, and in this case specifically the seniors of West Virginia. For other people who don't really know him personally, how you choose to approach this is in a way a personal matter. You can write letters to the editor. You can, I don't think it necessarily helps to berate people. He is in a powerful position right now and we need him. So the goal, keep the goal in mind. The goal is to get whatever we can with regard to these issues that are the best crossover issues that there are in politics. There are no better crossover issues. And I know I told you this last time, and I'm going to repeat it. Republicans, independents, Democrats, everybody among seniors needs Medicare to negotiate for lower drug prices. And everybody knows it. It's not just Democrats in the state of West Virginia, not the wealthiest state in America, who are in the position of cutting their pills in half because they're trying to decide whether they can afford, whether they should take their prescription drugs or go to the supermarket. This is a phenomenon among all populations, not just Democrats. So dental, vision, and hearing in Medicare. Everybody knows that dental, vision, and hearing are expensive and that they're not covered unless you have Medicare Advantage. And when you have Medicare Advantage, it's more often than not a ripoff. So we need to have traditional Medicare, not Medicare Advantage, improving the program so that dental, vision, and hearing are affordable for West Virginia seniors. HCBS, home and community-based care, right? HCBS. People want to stay in their homes. And it's not just Democrats, it's Republicans and it's independents. Want to stay in their homes in West Virginia for as long as they possibly can, and they need care. There is $400 billion still of help in the Build Back Better package for people to be able to stay in their homes. Now, to be blunt with you, with regard to Senator Manchin, those are probably the three biggest things for seniors, the three most obvious things for seniors. Yes, you can carry it much further. Internet access, because seniors tend to get trapped in their homes. Steve's right, that's really important. Affordable housing, same thing. All of these are carryover, but the most obvious are dental, vision, and hearing, which is in this package, lower drug prices, and home and community-based care. The reason I put them in that order is because Senator Manchin has actually been the least good on dental, vision, and hearing. This is the one that he keeps making public statements that he's fighting. And we need to get him to a better place on dental, vision, and hearing, which is, as Steve said, we've all been fighting for decades. You know, Medicare was passed in 1965 without coverage for dental, vision, and hearing. The dentists are still fighting the prospect of coverage, but we can do it if we get the support of Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. And there's a good reason for them not to support. Drug prices, he's been a little better on, but it's still a great crossover issue, and he still needs to hear from you. And home and community-based services as well. Those are the main things, and we're encouraging you today to continue this discussion of how to contact Senator Manchin.
Yeah, let me just add one thing to what John said. The conventional wisdom is, and obviously conventional wisdom is conventional until proven otherwise, is that if Manchin supports the package, whatever the package ends up being, Kristen Sinema is going to go along. She is not going to stand out there all by herself. She's using Senator Manchin to a certain degree as cover. So Manchin is the key. If you get Manchin, you're going to get her. Now, that's what people are saying.
We kind of know that that's true. She has even indicated it, you know, privately to people who are in touch with her. So
John,
yes.
Will you talk to us specifically, the people that are here? Like, you know I can call his office. I've called his office.
It helps.
You
It's
said
good.
about writing letters to the editor and people who know him to call him. So what else can we do that really could make a difference?
Those people who know him to call him is probably the number one thing. you know.
And if we
before-
don't fit in that category, which
if
I
you don't
don't.
fit in that category, calling the office is probably the best thing you can do.
And
Now,
then what do I do? Do I call every day and say the same thing?
you
do
can
I-
call a different office too. Call the DC office. They're spending a lot of time in DC right now. This is happening as we speak. And look, you all know his arm is being, think back to the Affordable Care Act, right? And a lot of people forget this, but remember the Cornhusker kickback the Cornhusker kickback was when Senator Harry Reid and President Barack Obama twisted Ben Nelson, a supposedly Democratic senator from Nebraska, twisted his arm out of its socket to get him to vote for the Affordable Care Act. And without Ben Nelson, this is the exact equivalent of Manchin and Sinema. Without Ben Nelson, there would be no Affordable Care Act these days. And the Affordable Care Act is popular, right? So you know that President Joe Biden is twisting Senator Joe Manchin's arm out of his socket as best he can. But there are only two sets of people that can do anything with Senator Joe Manchin in the entire universe. You know, positive, anything positive. I'm not talking about people who give him money.
That's for sure.
And result in something negative. I'm talking about people who may be able to accomplish something positive. And those are President Joe Biden, along with, let's say, Chuck Schumer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the constituents, the people of West Virginia. You are the only other people who can conceivably have influence over this senator. So we've got to put in maximal effort. And the things we're talking about, Mary, are the best things to do.
Okay, good.
Call the
So
office.
I would be, what I would be, try to do is to try to be creative in getting more people to either make a call or write a letter. So if there's a senior center nearby and they're having, I don't know if they're still, having events yet because of COVID-19, but if they are, go there and ask them. If you're active in your church, and they would be open to, because we're not asking them to work on, endorsing a candidate, but on the, important legislative issues. Churches, from my experience, are run by seniors. They're the ones who are the most active. So I would try to go to churches, have them, some of them making calls. If there's a community group, ask them to make calls or write letters. I would just try to be creative to expand your network. And you're not gonna, as what John said, you're not gonna find anybody who's opposed to adding hearing, vision, and dental to Medicare. I mean, the polling numbers are like 90%, including, 80+% of Republicans. So you just have to kind of be creative on the outreach. When I was still working, and it's not that many years ago, when I came to West Virginia was still a Democratic state then. I mean, the legislature were Democrats, and all the statewide officers, the congressional delegation. Now they might have been, conservative Democrats, but they were Democrats. So
we all remember.
Yeah. So I mean,
we do.
We can send you language. Would you like us to send you language? I mean, we think you're entirely capable of creating this language, by the way.
Okay.
But should we send you language?
Sure, John. I think that would be great. People can use it or not use it, whatever.
Exactly.
I find that when I make my comments the simplest possible, it's all the better. But when I'm listening to you, Steve, talk about this, I'm thinking about the church across the road from me that is definitely a different persuasion than I am, but that I could still talk to the minister and say, like all of us, all seniors want this. At least it would open the conversation for everybody to participate.
Right.
Well, I appreciate, you know, what
One other
you're,
thing, John, could you have Social Security Works do
That's what
like
I'm
a
gonna
little,
do.
do a little flyer
Yeah.
for
We'll do it
West
tomorrow.
Virginia? And
We'll
then,
do it
and then
tomorrow
put
send
in,
it to you.
the phone numbers for the mansion offices.
Right.
And then send it to Mary and
And we'll
Bob.
give you a little bit of language and maybe some letters, proposed short letters to the editor. But once again, it's going to be the same things over and over again. Seniors in West Virginia need lower drug prices, dental, vision, and hearing in Medicare, home and community-based services so they can stay in their home as they age. Those are the things that are good. And you know, there is some evidence compared to Senator Sinema, who's really kind of out there and doesn't even communicate with her constituents at all. There is some evidence that Manchin is a little bit more of a standard politician in the sense that, you know, he'll talk to the people off of the houseboat, you know, he won't just run in the houseboat and hide.
my
He doesn't tell them
experience
the
of Joe
truth,
Manchin
but, you know,
is that he listens to people's stories.
yeah.
So
Well,
if
that's
you've
another-
got a story
Right.
that you can send him by letter or email or something, he does listen to that. And I think that, you know, what I'm hearing from both of you and from even Pam, like the more people, really, it needs to be a numbers game.
Exactly. And you said something that I forgot to say, and it's in my notes, which is, it says right here, personal stories on any of these, because that is absolutely true, that nothing is better, and particularly with him, it seems to be, nothing is better than if you have a personal story about how you really can't afford your prescription drugs, or you really have a problem with your vision and Medicare won't help you, or your hearing and Medicare won't help you, or your dental work and Medicare won't help you. Because
And do you know when they're going to do this vote?
we don't know. We don't know. This is.
But it could be any day,
Could be
right?
any day, right? So that's why I'm saying it's a 5-alarm fire.
Yeah,
It's,
okay.
we have to do this now. This could drag on a bit longer. It depends on the negotiation. There are a lot of people negotiating with a lot of people, but we know you know, in other words, even in this, so you guys understand it, Bernie Sanders's office, he's budget committee chairman, is negotiating with Ron Wyden's office. He is finance committee chairman, right? And these are people who are both pretty progressive and kind of on the same side of things, you know, more or less. But, you know, this is a very big bill, and there are still compromises that even have to be made about what's going to be in and what's going to be out among those people. So this is ongoing, but the biggest compromises are going to be what Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema insist on are going to create the biggest compromises. And there's no point in being negative about it. We have got to get the best we possibly can from them. They are there.
Great.
We need the 50 votes.
Well, John, thank you. And thank you, Steve, for coming tonight to light a little bit of a fire under us. And we'll appreciate all the input from you. And is there anybody who has any questions here before I turn it back over to Bob?
I don't have any questions. I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I think that Senator Manchin might relent on some of the social issues on Social Security and that sort of thing. There is one thing that he is not going to relent on, you can guarantee it, and that is clean energy.
Yep.
Because he is from a coal mining community. Yep. He had relatives that were killed in the the Farmington mine disaster. His income comes from coal. So when you talk clean energy at the demise of coal oil and natural gas, you have lost him. It's not going to go. He's not going to go there.
And notice
if they relent on some of that, he might come in on the social issues.
Notice we never said a word about coal.
I know you didn't.
Yeah. Or clean energy.
Anyone else? Any question or comment from anybody else? Well, thank you again. Bob, do you want to do you want to move things on?
Sure. The next item on our agenda was basically discussion of various issues. I don't think they were quite in the order I meant to have them in there, but essentially, I think we need to talk on who we should work with and on what issues. And the possible issues that I have listed are Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which needs reforming. It's affected a lot of seniors in West Virginia, a lot of coal miners in West Virginia who've lost
And
their
me.
pensions. And what?
Yep. And me.
And you, yeah. Not just
And
coal
me.
miners, but people who had pensions through their unions or even not through their unions if they had one, who have had their companies that they worked for go into Chapter 11, restructure and screw the pensioners. I think that's one of the major issues we need to talk about as to how we can deal with people on this.
I've got that, that issue is right up my alley. I'm on the State Democratic Executive Committee, and I got a resolution put in by the State Democratic Party to address that issue. Now, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time reading everything, but basically, the resolution, the West Virginia Democratic Party resolution, is in support of protecting and preserving the pensions for American workers. And instead of reading, you can access this probably on the Democratic Party's last couple of meetings they had was when this was addressed. But anyway, what it said, therefore, be it resolved that the West Virginia Democratic Party praises Senator Joe Manchin for his undying effort to work to pass the Stop Looting American Pensions, SLAP Act. That's an acronym for SLAP, is Stop Looting American Pensions legislation, and to publish the importance of the urgent need to protect our American pensions and healthcare funds. Now, I wrote an article on this issue, and it was printed in the Charleston Gazette on April the 29th of 2020. And it basically tells what happened to me in a bankruptcy. Senator Manchin got a copy of that letter, and I got a report back from a guy by the name of Kevin Carty that works in his office. So Manchin is aware of this issue, and hopefully when things quiet down, we can get some action on it, I hope.
And how can we build additional pressure to him and Shelley Moore Capito and other members of the Senate and the House that they, we need to go beyond Joe Manchin, is what I'm saying, and getting people to agree.
My other question is, do we offer any solutions, or do we just say, you have to take care of this?
It would involve changing the Chapter 11 bankruptcy rules, which is going to be hard to do because right now in Chapter 11 bankruptcy, employees and retirees are at the very bottom of the bankruptcy totem pole. At the top is the big banks that loan the companies money, the suppliers that supplied them with raw materials, the contractors that built something for them and hadn't been paid yet. They're first in line. By the time it gets down to the retirees and the employees, there's nothing left. So there has to be reform in the Chapter 11 bankruptcy procedures, and that's what this SLAP Act would do.
And one of the important things I think to think about this issue, or a way to think about it, is that I suspect most all of us know people who have either had their pension taken away or their health benefits taken away or severely damaged or under threat of severe damage. I know at least a couple of people myself. I'm sure everybody else knows, and Floyd probably knows a lot because he was the union.
I know 463 plus me.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Well, so many companies spend the money. And
we
then
need to figure out a way to use this issue to move people back to the Democratic Party.
Right.
That's what we need to do.
Yep.
And we also need to write Senator Manchin and Senator Capito and our various Congress people, most of whom won't listen at all except for Senator Manchin. And
Well, I was going to say, I think it, if you know what needs to be done is to change the laws or in the bankruptcy
Bankruptcy
workings.
court system, yeah.
Yeah. Then have you worked on any proposal to how to have it look so that we give some input to them to say, here's what could happen? When I'm leading things, all the different years that I've been in leadership, when somebody says, well, you have to do this, or we want this, without any input in how it could happen, it's, like you're leaving it all on my shoulders, and I've got other things that, it's like, I can't come up with a solution for everything. So that would be my suggestion. And I'm wondering if we might want to set up a subcommittee that's interested in this, that could work on proposal for shifting those bylaws in the bankruptcy law bylaws or laws. How could we propose a solution to it? John, thank you. I see your note that says you have to leave, and I really appreciate both you and Steve being here.
Yeah, I have to leave.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
John.
much. Thanks for inviting us.
You're so welcome. We'll talk to you more soon.
Ooh.
Okay, great.
Yes,
Thank
I have to
you.
leave too. Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
I'd be happy to come back, and I know John will too.
Okay, great.
thank you, Steve.
We appreciate it. So is there any, does anybody want to would you be interested, Floyd, in creating some kind of a subcommittee to actually work on this and bring people together and talk about it and make some proposals that, that could be solutions?
There are solutions in this SLAP Act. Now, I didn't read it all because it'd be time consuming. But if you look that up, it'll tell you in there what should be done. And Manchin has this, and he supposedly supports it. But with everything that's going on, it's probably falling by the wayside would be my guess. There are outfits. Did anybody ever hear of ARA, Alliance of Retired Americans? It's Spud Terry was at one time president of that. Jenny Mose is now president of it. I'm a board member, and we work on retiree issues. But anyway, ARA is I guess it's supported by the AFL-CIO and the Steelworkers. Those two entities support ARA. And we meet, and because of COVID, we haven't met in the last year.
Right.
But we meet and bring in a lot of seniors and discuss issues that are relevant to seniors. And this would be relative to a lot of seniors, especially those that have experienced bankruptcy at their workplace. So there's people out there that are already working on this. I have talked personally to Senator Manchin about it. I gave him a copy of the letter that I wrote to the Charleston Gazette that covers this issue. What happened to us? What happened to 463 people plus myself? And his representative did contact me about it. But where it is now on the agenda with everything else that's going on, I think we need to clear that out before we pursue this, expect him to pursue this individual issue.
Great, thank you.
Floyd, can you
Go ahead, Bob.
Floyd, can you send me a copy of the legislation that's been proposed, the SLAP Act? Do you have access to that?
I do. I've got a copy
can-
right here in front of me. Now, my typing skills are nil. If I
Okay.
need anything typed, I have my wife do it. Now, if you have a mailing, if you will send me your mailing address, I will send you a copy of this. I'll also send you a copy of the letter I wrote that Manchin has. I will send that to you in the mail.
I'm going to put my mailing address in the chat right now.
I'll give you my telephone number. It's easier to reach me because I have a cell phone, but half the time I don't have it on. I got a landline, which is right by where I spend a lot of my time in my easy chair. And that landline is area code 304.
Okay.
675 2728.
2728.
2728. And if you get that address to me, I'll send you a copy of that and a copy of the articles that I've written concerning this issue.
Do you know how to look at the chat on your computer?
No.
Okay. Down at the very bottom, there should be a thing that says chat on it. Do you see it?
Bob,
No.
it's easier if you
You
just
have
give
to
him
you have to raise your arrow higher, and then it will appear.
Do what?
Raise your arrow up, and then it will appear.
Okay.
Bob, it's easier just to give him your address than it is.
Sure,
to-
let me just do that.
Send me your address in an email. You've got
Let
my
me just
email.
tell you what it is. Do you have a pencil?
Yeah, just a second. Okay.
102 Ruby Lane. That's R-U-B-Y, Ruby.
Okay. 102 Ruby Lane.
Beckley, West Virginia.
Okay.
25801.
25801.
Right.
102 Ruby Lane, Beckley, West Virginia, 25801.
Correct.
Got it.
Okay.
I'll send you
I'm
a copy
sorry.
of that.
Yeah,
I'll send
I
you a copy
appreciate
of
it.
that and also the articles that I wrote.
Now, whether we should set up a subcommittee at this point, I don't know. What do you think, Mary?
Well, it doesn't sound quite like we're ready to do that, but I think it in your hands, that information, and looking at how to use that information to get something fulfilled and to bring people back into the Democratic Party is something that you have expertise in.
Because you can bet the Republicans aren't going to push this.
Right.
No, they're not going to push it. Shelley Moore Capito's husband is in the banking business, Wells Fargo. So, she's not going to worry about labor doing better than the big banks.
That's right.
In bankruptcy.
Okay, I'll look forward to getting that, Floyd. Thanks.
Okay.
A couple of the other things we wanted to talk about and who to work with on were saving Social Security and Medicare. There's a lot of talk about cutting it back or reducing it or even doing away with it altogether. And I think that that's an important issue for seniors. We need to talk about how to spark conversations about various issues and also deal with issues that affect everyone, including seniors, not just seniors. So where do we go from here on those sorts of things?
I'm sort of thinking that right now, we need to be educating seniors, both within the party and through seniors in our communities, to make sure everybody understands these issues. But in terms of putting things like even the SLAPP Act or anything like that, or before Congress right now, they're just totally consumed with Build Back, with the slew of bills. There's about 5 bills there, or more maybe, that are just taking all of their efforts, and I don't think we're going to get anywhere.
That's, at this time, you're right.
You know, I think we have to keep it on their agenda for sure. Absolutely, don't let them forget it. But I just don't think we're going to, realistically speaking, we're not going to get far with them. However, these are issues, the issues that John mentioned, adding, not cutting back on Social Security and Medicare, but adding eyes, ears, and teeth to Medicare is important. Being able to negotiate drug prices is critical. What was the other one he mentioned? I can't remember right now.
Home care.
Home and
Oh,
community.
home care, especially in West Virginia. This affects not only people who want to stay in their home, but the people who work in the area, who work as home health care people. It's support for them and family members. All of that, really, that whole complex of things is just critical, especially in West Virginia where we're losing our young people. So these are issues that are critical, and they're right now before Congress. And so I kind of hope that these are kind of things that we can take on. Those are all issues that are in Build Back Better right now. But I don't, and I'm not saying other things. You know, what's in Build Back Better right now is to build Social Security, expand Medicare. And so we don't really have to, right now, they're not discussing cutting back on those. Right now, what's being discussed is to expand them. And Manchin is standing in the way of some of that.
He is. He's treating them like tokens in a game, you know? Like, okay, stack one over here. Okay, take one away from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the one that really bothers me is this means testing idea. Manchin is suggesting means testing for the child care stuff. I mean, seniors maybe don't have little children at home anymore, but we have grandchildren.
Yes, sir.
And
I mean,
care about those. And child care and the child tax credit are two that could raise millions of children out of poverty and make it possible. They're complaining that people aren't going back to work. Well, one of the reasons is they don't have child care, and this would make child care possible for for the moms to be able to go back to work, and to put a means test on that so that it's only available to the poorest of the poor when middle class people need this too.
I mean, I don't make 60,000, but I know in some places when people do, childcare is expensive.
Yeah, very expensive, very expensive.
Exactly, you know?
And so that means test is, that may not be, childcare may not be a senior issue, but it is for me because I think that we care about our grandchildren, and also just generally about children. Anyway, I think that means testing thing is another thing that Mr. Manchin has proposed that I really just totally disagree with.
There was a lady on TV the other day who said she would love to go back to work. She makes $15 an hour, but the only problem was she had 3 kids and it cost her $16 an hour to get somebody to take care of the 3 kids. So
exactly.
That's the situation in a nutshell.
Right. And at $15 an hour, your annual salary is $31,000 a year. So you can't do this. You can't have everything.
Yeah.
You know, and so you might as well just stay home at that point. It costs you more to get childcare than it does than you're earning.
And anyway, I can't believe that people don't know that, you know, they do know that. the people that are talking about these policies. They know that.
I guess so. I don't know. But the senior, I think the other thing that's important and what John was saying, and the other guy, Stephen, is that senior issues are, everybody's in favor of these senior issues. And so those are the things that we should be pushing.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Kristen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to get closer. Those senior issues are things that everybody is in favor of. You know, that you got 80% of people in general and 90% of, what do you say, 90% of Democrats or something. I mean, this is across the board. People support our issues. And so I hope that there's some way that we can influence both the West Virginia Democratic Party and people in West Virginia to support those senior issues.
I think that's part of what our job is to be looking at what actions can we take? What actions, are there that would make a difference in this? We all kind of know what the conversations are. So part of where there is, I think, for us to look as a senior caucus is, all right, what kind of actions could impact this? So I would like for us to be thinking about that between now and our next conversation. Any other thoughts you have, Bob?
No, I don't have anything to add to that. That's good.
So anything else on those issues, or is
Pam
there,
has
what
her
else?
hand raised.
Go
Pam?
ahead.
I will have a national stage next week.
I can't hear you very well, Pam.
Okay. Let me see if I pull this out of it.
I can't hear anybody very well because I have bad ears, but that's a different issue.
I will have a national stage next week. I'll be speaking, one of the speakers at the mass tent revival that we will be having. I can speak on these senior issues because that is what this is about, is to build back better and the reconciliation all being passed at once. That's what this is, revival's about. And so I will do my 2 or 3 minute speech on these senior issues that are part of the bill and see if I can bring some public attention to these issues, and especially West Virginians.
Good.
Good.
And Pam, we could be present as well, or we could
That would
have,
be great.
we could
That would
have
be great.
people who would be willing to be present, and we could
Yep.
work these crowds with you.
Yep. And if anybody has got a story that they would want to be a speaker and to speak about, just let me know. I will make a place for them to be able to speak.
And then you'll be sure and get that information to us so we can share it with people and invite people that don't already know about it. Great, Pam. That's great.
Okay.
And Pam, if you'll put a notice on Seniors Can't Wait of this, and with a real warm invitation to all of our members to come on out for that, with information about where it's going to be and the time, then that would be helpful.
All right. I will do that. Thank you.
Bob, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
I'm not talking.
Anything
I'm
else?
hiding my mouth. No, I think
We
that-
have 9 minutes left, Bob.
Right. The next item on our agenda is new business. Is there any new business to bring in front of the senior caucus?
Is there anybody got any ideas how we can get all the Democrats, not all the Democrats, but part of the Democrats who jumped ship? They feel that the Democratic Party left them, they didn't leave the party.
They do.
Because of issues in the national plank. that are detrimental to their well-being. And I'm talking about clean energy. I support clean energy. I think coal is eventually going to go the way of the dodo bird and the Pony Express. But my income doesn't come from coal, oil, or natural gas. But for those that do, when you talk about clean energy at the demise of coal, oil, and natural gas, you're talking about their income, their livelihood. So it's understandable why a lot of these people left the party.
I agree partly, Floyd, but I think that climate change is so desperate at this point that really what we need to be talking about is how to create alternative jobs for folks who have been in the coal, oil, and gas industry. I think we need to be talking about creating jobs that are good paying union jobs, whether it involves building solar panels, because I know a bunch of the solar panels that are installed here in West Virginia are made down in northeastern Georgia in the mountains. You know, we could be making solar panels here and paying people a really good wage comparable to coal mining, but we need to figure out what those jobs are and how we can attract them to West Virginia. Because I think that climate change, if we don't get something done, we'll be fried and we'll all be dead.
Well, I've heard from my delegate, Evan Hansen, that there are companies who say, I might want to move there if you had clean energy, because that's in my long-term plan.
Right.
I think it's not just clean energy manufacturing solar panels. Look what's going on out in California right now. There's ships setting off the coast from China or whatever that they can't even get unloaded. Now, if we made those products in the United States, we wouldn't have to worry about getting them off that ship and getting them to the stores or whatever. We don't make anything in the United States anymore, and that's because of NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, which Bill Clinton put in. Now that injured a lot of Rust Belt workers, and including workers right here in West Virginia. So that's one of the reasons that these people have jumped ship.
But you have to remember that they all voted for Reagan, and then did that. And he was just trying to get on the bandwagon. And I don't justify him, but I think
it was the Democrats and the Republicans that are responsible for all the jobs going overseas.
But we're here is for us to look. We can't do anything about any of that. That's already all done. The only thing we can do is look at what are some solutions that we can offer. Who are the people that are in charge of those things that can make things happen here? We can complain all we want, but it does absolutely no good unless we're proposing things, unless we bring people together to create solutions and suggestions. We can just keep rehashing it all we want, but there really has to be a shift in our thinking to say, all right, how can we come together and have something happen? What could we do here?
And there's money in Build Back Better for retraining and establishing clean energy industry and businesses. And so there's lots of money in there. There's lots of money in there for West Virginia, and especially under that climate change part, which Joe Manchin wants to kill. And so
I think as Democrats, we have to learn to control the narrative. I think with each subject, instead of letting the Republicans bash us with what their opinions and throwing stones, I think the Democrats have to learn how to defend their issues and to change the narrative. Like when somebody tells me that about Bill Clinton, my first thoughts is that was a Republican bill that the Democrats fought for years because the Republicans was trying to put NAFTA in. And Bill Clinton, yes, he signed it, but it was a Republican bill. I think we have to remind people of where these bills came from and make them own them.
Thank you, Pam. Okay, Bob, we have a few minutes left. Anything else that we need to cover before we close the meeting?
Well, our next meeting is on November 15th, the third Monday in November. And I'll be sending, I'm gonna try to get that. Did anybody get on today by looking at the Democratic Party website? Sharon? Maybe she's not there. Oh, there she is.
No, I'm here. I used the email that you had the
Okay.
information on and just and then input it in my Zoom.
Yeah, okay. I think I was looking for it before the meeting. I was able to work with Bridget, I think, to get it onto the calendar with the Zoom link. But I don't know if anybody saw it. Because I think without actually sending it out to people. So Susan, I have your email and I have Patricia Dudley's email too, right? You got it from me? Okay.
Yep.
We're
You
looking
did.
for additional emails so that we can expand the size of our group. So if anybody knows anybody who would like to be part of this group, have them, or you send me their email and I'll put it on my list.
Okay.
Paula's come up with a couple last month, but we haven't had much increase since then. And it looks like this group of about 12 is probably the core group for us, and then we'll have some people on and some off as time goes on. But it'd be nice to make the core group 100.
Mhm.
It'd be hard to get everybody to talk then, but we could try it. Okay, well, on that note, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
All right.
I second.
Okay, anybody opposed? Nope, the ayes have it. We're adjourned. I'll see you all next month if we don't need to call. a
Thank you,
special meeting.
everybody.
Thank you for all for coming.
Thank you for Bob.
Good
and-
seeing everybody.
Yes.
And I'll try to get the recording dealt with this time. Because I sure screwed it up last time.
And we need to be finding good congressional candidates. It's that time.
Yep, and good House of Delegate and
Absolutely.
senatorial candidates, because those are going to change around. And it's possible that, not likely, but it's possible the Republicans still know what they're doing when they're gerrymandering these districts.
And then remember, so all of the executive committee committees, both the executive committee and the county executive positions are all open for the election next year.
Right.
All right, signing off. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you all. Bye.